Right, welcome ladies and gents to my review of The Marvels. I know you're all expecting me just to absolutely hate this film. I understand that. But like I always try to do with these things is give some positives, but quantify and justify the things which I dislike. I'm not one of these people that just randomly goes, well, it's just garbage. I'll try not to be anyway. So we're going to talk the good and the bad. It's not tiny little good things. It's not all horrendous. But the good things are vastly overshadowed by the really, really bad things. And there are some really bad things. Excuse me. I will be coughing during this. I'll try to cut them out as much as possible. But I'm recovering. And some of it's going to be quite difficult to do because coughing fits materialise. Anyway. This film is massively let down by its budget. On all of the positives, actually. And what I mean by that is the budget was astronomical. It was around the $300 million mark, and then they had a kickback from the UK government because they filmed it in the UK. That's a lot of money for a film which is let down substantially by terrible planning, well, the entire film was let down by a terrible script, which was never materialised on the screen, actually. And that's the core crux of what's happening with Marvel as of late, and what has become just substantially apparent on screen. And it's something which they even alluded to in one of these, I think it was the Variety article itself, was where they out and out said that Kevin Feige's true talent is actually in the edit bay, putting together a product. That's not a talent any longer. It's a massive hindrance to these films. So whatever was scripted is not on the page, or at least not in its complete form anyway. So that's a huge issue. This is a tonal, choppy, just mess. It's a total mess of a film. You have one of the weakest villains ever, with no real... There's definitely conviction and motivation there, but there's no real reason for the whole film to kind of exist. A lot of it's very manufactured. So, all the leaks were completely true. What's happening is, an individual saw Brie Larson's Captain Marvel destroy the Supreme Intelligence, right, of the Kree. It's Dar-Ben. And she's setting around creating portals to rip resources from planets to restore Hala. There seems to be a distinct lack of planets available in this galaxy now, this universe. I remember when the Marvel Universe started out, there were loads of planets, and there was loads of people populating loads of planets, and they're just all over the place with these planets. Now, apparently, the Skrulls can't get a planet. The Kree are struggling with their planet, but they can't just move planets. We've got a shortage of planets, it seems. Don't really understand why. It's not something that was happening in the intro to Marvel, but whatever. Is what it is, I guess. Some planets have gone missing, I guess. Bizarrely. And then what happens is because Dar-Ben, to create these portals, has got one of the bangles that Ms. Marvel has, Kamala Khan, somehow they all get entangled, all their powers get entangled, and so they all sort of come together to save the day. That's basically it. That is as paper thin a plot as you could get, and that is actually just the plot of the film. But the real problem with this film is the script was very clearly a lot bigger. There's lots of choppy edits. There's very bizarre cuts, and it's just a total mess of a film. And so that's one of the key issues, is that they obviously, and this is Marvel through and through, we've learnt this in a lot of exposés on Marvel, they reshoot right up into the last minute. They've just announced they're going to be delaying some more Marvel projects because they didn't test right, and going to reshoot all of them. It's just, they're a mess. They can't save themselves now at this point. it's just a wonder that they're still going. Now, I will say this. It does seem like there seems to be a concerted effort to make Brie Larson's Captain Marvel a significantly more likeable character. And she does come across significantly more likeable, actually. If she was a 1 before on the likeable scale, she's easy a 6 on this. Like, they really ramp it up. She's a much better written character in terms of her likability and how she's directed. Or how she's playing the character. We don't know because we're not privy to the behind the scenes. But whatever it is, she comes across much more likeable. Significantly more likeable. Bizarre amount of bum shots as well. Not that I'm complaining. Brie Larson seems to be doing some squats. And I'm not going to complain on seeing her ass in tight superhero outfits. Quite pleasant, quite frankly. But just quite a lot. Very noticeable. I tweeted it out, actually. And loads of people were like, yep, no, I've seen that. Yeah. And I was like, so it's not just me. I'm not just a pervert. There is a concerted effort to make her more likeable, it seems. And also address... It's almost like they saw the meme of her needing a butt double for Captain Marvel. But anyway, all that kind of stuff aside, she's definitely up to her game in terms of coming across more likeable. She's very fit in this, and I mean physically fit. You can see her form. She's been working out, genuinely. Ms. Marvel, look, I'm not a child, obviously. So Ms. Marvel, it's not my jam. I don't gel well with that. Well, I'm not a child and I'm not American either. So that sort of over-exaggerated, full-on emphasis character acting doesn't vibe with me. Not going to lie. But I can see the appeal. So here's my positives. These are my positive stuff. Brie Larson's much more likeable. There will be a contingent of individuals that genuinely like Ms. Marvel. Just because I don't vibe with it doesn't mean I'm blind to the fact there will be a substantial amount of people that will like her. Monica Rambeau, she's fine as a character in this. I wish they'd given her a bit more of a backstory. Kind of. Well, not necessarily a backstory, but I wish they gave her a bit more to do rather than just complain. They made her a bit, not unlikable, but a bit of a superfluous character as a result of that. Would have liked her to have been a bit more of an involved character. But none of these good things make this film good, because they're overshadowed by a complete mess of a story, paper-thin plot, weak-ass villain. The acting from Dar Ben was terrible. She's barely in the film as well. This is what I mean. Like, you don't need a villain to be in the film all the time, but she should have been in a bit more, or at least the scenes that she was in should have been more impactful. Maybe. Excuse me. And then the visual effects are downright criminal for the amount of money spent on this film. The visual effects are 100% dog shit. There's no escaping that. If anyone says the visual effects are good, they are smoking meth or on crack. 100%. Anyone that says the VFX are good on this, they are someone you can 100% discount their opinion on anything to do with VFX in future. They're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. And that's what makes it so frustrating when you're looking at this film, because you're like, you know, every single step of the way this film has failed. And that's the problem. This is what this review, I guess, we're rabbiting on now for like 9 minutes. But every single step of the way, as a production, this film is an objective failure. So script failed. And there's also that literally Nick Fury turns to Monica Rambeau, encourages her to fly by legit dialogue from the film. Come on, black girl magic. That's the kind of dialogue we're working with here. It's terrible. So script failing, massive failing on the script, failing on then direction, I guess, because you can't direct a script which is not finalised and a script which is being reworked as you go along. And then objectively failed in the edit bay to put together a coherent film. And it failed on the script. And the thing is, it's difficult to understand where it failed. Because was it the script that failed, which led to the pacing to be as bad as it is, and the tonal shift of the film to be as bad as it is all over the place? Maybe. But maybe that was wrecked in the edit bay. Maybe they've chopped stuff out, which led those tonal shifts in a film less jarringly. Maybe. This is the issue with this kind of film. And so now, we don't know who to blame. I guess. Well, I mean, it would obviously be Marvel overall and Kevin Feige overall. And then they fail at the VFX. The score's terrible. They released that scene where they're all fighting, swapping places with rat-tat-tat. That's in the film. The score's bad. I remember when the score... The score of Marvel movies were never exceptionally good. But they were always okay, you know? They were always okay, and then when it came to Guardians of the Galaxy, they were always good. So they were always okay or good when it was Guardians. But this was just a bad score. It was bad music, bad score, but a nothing. Yeah. Things to come. I mean, the leaked post-credit scene was 100% true. So, excuse me, Monica Rambeau at the end of the film flies into a rip in time and space to close it up from the other side. Not overly sure why she has to be on the other side, but she does. And then she wakes up and it's Kelsey Grammer's Beast. But it's not, it's bad CGI, it's not the costume. It's not going to go anywhere. This shouldn't make anyone excited. He's not going to stay around. He's too old. They're not going to want him to stay around. It's unlikely. That's someone who will command quite a large payday after a while, I'm sure. He's also working on a new series, anyway, a new show. And it's kind of the I don't know, what is an X-Men universe, but what one? Who the fuck knows? Because it's not 100% the X-Mansion. Who knows what actual universe that is? So who actually cares? And this is the problem. Marvel has a huge problem on every single level of production. They are failing. This movie will appeal to very little people, and yet you will still get individuals, and they'll be doing it right now. You wouldn't have stayed this long, those that are doing it, but the people that have already done it, they would have typed it down in the comment section going, well, you're just a man, you're just a white man, blah, blah, blah. Massively racist of you. The colour of my skin's got nothing to do with it. And the fact that I've got a penis has got nothing to do with it. There's very few men that will go out and watch this film. It's just not for us. It's plainly not for us. But the thing is, this film will fail. And it will fail because women don't support it. And it's not that women don't support films. Barbie has just crossed over $1 billion. So it's very clear that women do support films that appeal to them. And yet men will get blamed for this being a failure. Misogyny and sexism and probably racism will get blamed for this being a failure. But what is a failure is this film. This film is just an abject failure on every single level. Marvel has failed this film. And they failed the audience. And they failed themselves because they have done better. They could do better. And they need to get the head out their arse and make better films. Or the jig's up and people are just sick of it. Who knows? But if you've seen it, let me know what you think down below. I'd love to hear it. Apologies that I'm still sick. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hit subscribe if you're new here and you enjoyed this this review. I do interviews sometimes as well. But I'd love to have you here more often if you enjoyed this type of review. Pretty blunt and honest. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.